Let's see MEL. She's a mid laner. She's a mid laner, but she's also gonna be mostly a support, like a little bit of a support. Kind of reminds me of Hui, where they were also like, well, primary a mid laner, also can be played as a support, but Hui kind of did fall off as a support really hard in my opinion. So okay, 1x1 abilities. Passive, Searing, Brilliance. MEL attacks and abilities apply stacks of Overwhelm each time they deal damage, storing 51, 50 plus 25%, plus 2, plus 0.75%. Damage per stack of magic damage. Okay. When applied, if the stored amount exceeds the enemy's combined shields and health, they're executed. So it doesn't execute through a shield, right? It combines both health and shield. When an ability is cast, MEL's next attack fires 3 extra projectiles, each dealing 5, 20 plus 1% magic damage. This effect can stack up to 9 extra projectiles. Okay, so the thing that I'm seeing is that the first part of passive is going to be a little bit more conditional, while the second part is going to be like kind of like the bread and butter. And it kind of reminds me of Seraphine passive. When Seraphine was first released in League of Legends, she was able to stack so much of her passive, but then over time they had to nerf. Like Seraphine passive was one of the most nerfed passives I've seen in League of Legends. They were like, when they nerfed Seraphine a lot, they only nerfed passive, and now she has like a lot less stacking and a lot less damage. But yeah, okay, let's see this again now. So that's the passive. Huh, interesting. So I assume the first icon is just always the same until the enemy gets very low, right? So I think I would assume the icon changes when the enemy is very close to the threshold of execution, but you never really know when that threshold is gonna happen. So I assume there's gonna be some skill here, like depending like how good the MEL player is gonna be at tracking the passive, maybe. No, it changes when it stacks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. So passive just seems to be like pretty good, I guess. Okay. So that was a spell, right? Okay. That was a spell, and then there's just a lot of extra projectiles. So then we have Q. MEL unleashes a barrage of 6 projectiles that explode in the area around the target location. Each explosion deals 13 plus 8.5% magic damage, adding up to 80 plus 51% magic damage total. This 25 reduced damage when used against minions. So I guess this was a little bit of a nerf to wave clear. And then if you look at it, the cooldown goes down a lot. The mana cost of the ability goes up quite high, but it seems to be a very low cooldown ability because this is without CDR probably, or without a lot of CDR, I would assume. And it fires 6 projectiles level 1, but at rank 5 it fires 10 of them. So I assume this is a skill shot, right? In a way, you place it on the ground, right? This seems like with the width, it kind of feels like this will at most hit 3 minions only. I mean, maybe you will be able to get 4 or 5, but I doubt you can hit all 6 minions with this width. It also seems like the spell is instantaneous, so there's not a lot of room to dodge it unless you have a dash or flash. It kind of feels like it's very instantaneous. But maybe if you're at the edge, you get hit by a few projectiles, but then you walk out and you can dodge a few of them. Maybe. Okay. So this just seems like a basic spell. You're for sure gonna max this first. MEL forms a barrier around herself that reflects projectiles from enemy champions, prevents her from taking damage, and gives her 30% decay move speed for 1 second. Reflected projectiles deal 40% of the original damage as magic damage. Shock shell damage is not prevented. Reflected projectile damage is calculated using the original caster attributes before damage adjustments and magic penetration. Reflected. Okay. Okay. Does not apply item effects from the original caster. Okay, so I suppose it applies your item effects, but not the original caster one. Reflected damage scales from 40% to 70%. So this already to me, I mean, also the cooldown says 32 seconds. What? 32? But this is, so one of the problem I have with this video is, I don't know what the CDR is using, because 32.41 is not 0 CDR, right? I wish they showed in this video how it is to be 0 CDR, but it's not the case. But yeah, a very high cooldown. The mana cost is very low, and it goes to 0. But, okay, so the thing is, it's 8 ability haste. Okay, the spell is for sure high-low skewed, because better players are going to be able to reflect the more important abilities and hold the spell and use the spell at better timing. So the spell is going to be very high-low skewed. However, I already think the spell does not seem to be too good early game. I think the spell will be very bad early game. Because the cooldown is very high. And because, you know, you need to scale it up from 40 to 70. So I'm not sure whether you max this second or third. We're going to see about that. Mana cost does also not seem to be too big of a problem. But again, I think this is just going to be a very situational spell. The cooldown seems to be absurd. I definitely think in some cases this is going to be not that good of a spell. Because it just depends what you're reflecting, honestly. Right now I don't view this as super OP, but then again, I don't really know how each reflection works. I know that like if Lux Qs you, the Q is just gonna follow the original caster, which is very OP. So against, this is just going to be very champion dependent. I think against some champions, this spell would be just more OP than against others. That's how I see it. Lux can never Q, because the moment you reflect it, Lux just gets Q'd automatically. That just seems ridiculous. Also, there is, so you can see here, you have about a second, I think, of time before the reflection goes off. So it doesn't even seem like you need to be super insane to get the reflection, you know?
Now that I've returned to my family, what challenges await us?
Okay. But does this mean she can pick up the dagger now of her or not? Does it work like that? Can she pick up then the dagger for damage? Yes. Okay. It's really interesting. I mean, some spells will go crazy. I don't know right now, like on top of my head, I don't know what examples, but there will for sure be champions that will go crazy. And, you know, this is why, like, when she's first released, people are going to be exploring what this champion can do for a very long amount of time until they really get muscle memory into all of these spells. Like, if Amumu Qs and she reflects Amumu Q, does that mean that she dashes to the target? Because, like, that's gonna be kind of crazy. Like, it's such a crazy mechanic. Like, we've never had a mechanic like this, I feel like. It's very strong. Like this, for example, right? Like I mean, again, I think early game this spell will probably not be that good. You're gonna be able to use it once per skirmish, one per team fight. But once you get to later ranks, this spell will go crazy. Like, if they have a Seraph in the enemy team, they will literally just not be able to use Seraphine ult, because it will just be reflected, or whatever. And you know what's really cool about this spell? This spell, I think, is going to have a very high skill expression, even in pro play. Because there will be times where a MEL player will literally either intentionally walk into a spell and make a game-winning play, or maybe even a flash into a spell. Like, there will be... This spell will have a lot of skill expression. I already see it. E. MEL fires a radiating orb, rooting enemies at its center for 1.75 seconds. Wait, what? And dealing 60 to 50% magic damage. The orb builds up a hostile area around it that slows enemies by 30%. This additional percent damage, magic damage per second. The slow and damage over time effect lingers on enemies for a short duration after they have left the area created by the orb. There is 50% reduced damage when used against minions. Okay, so this is like anti-wave clear, because both Q and E kinda are good wave clear, I guess. So let me just see exactly how the spell works. Huh. So I assume you can like how do you say it? You don't have to always cast it max range, right? You can like even cast it melee range. Or does it always go max range? Or is it like Nikoi? It's max range always. Oh. Oh.
Spare the pleasantries.
Oh, that's all. Sorry. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. The problem I'm seeing so far is... So, okay, the spell has good base damage. 240 is a pretty good base damage for an ability. That it scales up to 240. I am not sure. Right now, I have a feeling that W will be the last max spell. Looking just at the kit and looking at the numbers. So, that's a bit worrisome because it feels like you want to have W. So, levels are going to be kind of important on this champion. Maybe you're going to want to run the Inspiration rune. But in any case, so base damage looks good. The root duration is absurd. I mean, this is an absurd root duration on ability. Like, that is mind-blowing. Like, that's gonna mean that Mel is gonna probably want to have some setup. So I'm not sure how her ranges are so far, but based on what I'm seeing, her ranges do not seem to be very high, okay? So I think it kind of looks like you will want to have some sort of a setup with her because you will want the E to land. The problem is that even though the base damage of the ability is good, the AP scale seems to be pretty bad. Like, so far, I'm not seeing too good AP scales across the kit. She seems to be very reliant on passive, is what I'm kind of feeling so far. I don't know yet about ult, of course. I hope ult is a damage spell. But yeah, the fact that this ability always goes max range means that this part of the ability is not going to be used a lot of times. So the second part of the ability. Looking at root duration, it even scales up per rank, so I think you're going to want to max this second. The damage per second scales up a decent amount, and then cooldown is very low. Cooldown is very, very low. So, yeah, this ability is going to be pretty spammable as well. But it does feel like this champion will need to have haste. So, like, the way I'm thinking is like this ability plus Q kind of makes sense with Lianji and Black for Torch already a little bit. And then mana cost also seems to be kind of on the low side for this ability. Like W being low kind of makes sense, but E, a bit low mana cost as well. Doesn't seem like she will have a lot of mana issues, just depends how much she spams Q. And also looking at how fast the ability travels and the hitbox. Let me see this again. Seems to be pretty fast speed, honestly. I think, yeah, you'll have time to flash it, but that's about it, right? Like, if your teammates CC somebody, this will land. So, I think the CC duration is absurd. This is like Nico E, but easier to hit, because look, the hitbox is just so much faster. Bigger, I mean. Like, you see this? The spell hitbox, it's so much bigger than Nico E. And it's fast. That's crazy. Wait. Sorry. I think I'm... Yeah, I'm wrong about this, by the way. It only roots in the center right here. So if it hits you by this edge, it will only slow. The slow is only 30%, which is not a big slow. It will still work into E into Q combo. But the root is very, very important, and I've just realized that this root is only in the center. Oh yeah, if it wouldn't be in the center, this ability would be way too insane. I think still strong ability. Still strong ability. Let's see, R. Golden Eclipse. Passive. Overwhelm damage is increased to 76. Magic damage plus 3%. Magic damage per stack. Huh? What is Overwhelm? Overwhelm is the passive, right? So, that's weird. Overwhelm deals 40% reduced damage with the first stack when used against minions. Okay, so she's gonna be able to execute minions as well. That's pretty good for Waveker. Has good synergy with E and Q. But the way I'm seeing this is maybe this passive is on R simply because they want you to be incentivized to put points into R, maybe. As I'm not really sure why a passive like this. Or maybe it is to not make her passive too strong first 5 levels, but then give it meaningful spikes at 6, 11, and 16. Active. MEL unleashes her power on all enemies affected by Overwhelm, dealing 125 plus 40% magic damage, plus 4 plus 2.5% magic damage per Overwhelm stack. Can only be cast when an enemy champion is affected by Overwhelm. So you can R, and even if it doesn't execute somebody, you can basically... Yeah, it's flat damage. I know it's flat damage. You can R, and even if it doesn't execute somebody, you can use it, basically. This is like Lilia R, but instead of sleep, it adds damage. Yeah. Can only be cast when an enemy champion is affected by Overwhelm. Golden Eclipse flat damage, 125, 175, 225. Golden Eclipse stack damage, 4, 7, 10. Cooldown, 90 to 70. So I guess it's like 100 to 70, I guess. Seems to be pretty low cooldown, but it won't be super spammable. Once per fight. Overwhelm flat damage, 75, 100, 125. Overwhelm stack damage, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Okay, so the champion is a lot about stacking the passive. That seems to be mainly where the damage is revolved around. I think max order seems to be QEW. And it's just a lot about long fights, but her range is very weak. So I think she's probably maybe even incentivized to build items like Cosmic Drive or Lianji a little bit more. Based on what I'm thinking, because she wants to be tanky, she wants to have extended fights. Her Q range and E range is quite far. Yeah, I'm still not sure what her Q range is in this clip. Because like, look, they're very close, right? But I don't know what the actual range of the ability is. Maybe it's higher than this. It's hard to say. So then, is there anything else in the video? Q range is 800. This is just emotes and then splash. Okay, we're gonna see if we can find any gameplay videos, but based on what I'm seeing, it kind of depends what her like base move speed and everything is gonna be. But the champ seems pretty solid to me. Like weakness here is probably just like what, lack of sustain, I guess, for the most part. And then I guess W being a high cooldown is a bit of a weakness. And I guess if the fights are not long, she can stack up the passive. That could be like a weakness because it feels like a kind of like a Kalista pattern where she wants to fight for long. Her wave gear seems to be solid. Probably. I don't see an issue with that. Mobility, yeah, I guess mobility is a weakness. She's not mobile. Yeah, that is actually a weakness. She's just not mobile. So that's another reason why Cosmic Drive or items like that might be good.
Proving yourself in
Let's see
Noctis
champion
is no easy
spotlight.
feat, and Mel will use every tool she can to do it, including her enemies' powers. In-game, Mel aims to catch out enemies, poke them down, and deal huge bursts of damage at exactly the right time. Mage players and arcane...
Like, look at this. When she walks up to a gank here,
deal huge bursts of damage at
and then throws an E, like, this seems like... This ability seems to be so strong. Like, Dirt Root is crazy. That E is such a game-changing ability. I legit think E looks even better than W. Like, sometimes, you know, W is going to be a lot more conditional.
Mage players and arcane fans, it's your time to shine. Exactly.
Let me see this again. I need to see this again.
Poke them down and deal huge bursts of damage at exactly the right time. Mage players and arcane fans, it's your time to shine.
I don't... That R damage looked to be kind of ridiculous in this clip at least, but also her R is going to make it so the champion is going to be pretty good at securing kills. And kill stealing every kill, you know? Might be like a pentakill.
Welcome to the
A champion that can get
Spotlight.
pentas.
Any worthwhile venture in
Not sure though. Maybe not. Because R is only once per fight.
Before anything else, let's cover Mel's signature ability, her W, Rebuttal. Rebuttal gives her a small burst of move speed. It also grants a barrier that negates damage from anything except towers, and reflects enemy projectiles, barrier that negates damage.
So it only reflects projectiles. So in this case, it doesn't project a Garnold. Interesting.
From anything except towers, and reflects enemy projectiles back at their casters. Auto attacks, waves, missiles, anything that would be blocked by Yasuo's Wind Wall gets reflected by Rebuttal. Reflected projectiles are converted into magic damage, but function as they normally would otherwise. Like this, and that, and this one.
That's
That
crazy. This ability will be crazy.
You get it. Now for Mel's passive, Searing Brilliance. Damaging an enemy with an attack or ability applies a stack of Overwhelm. You can stack Overwhelm infinitely, charging up potential damage. When this damage amount exceeds a target's current health and shields, Overwhelm detonates to execute them.
Nothing I couldn't handle.
Okay.
Searing
That's
Brilliance
crazy.
also empowers Mel's next.
She also, I forgot to mention, she does not seem to have percent damages in her kit, right? And she's only magic damage on every ability. So yeah, she's gonna be a bit weak to magic resist, it looks like. But that's just classic mages, you know, like most champs are kind of similar. Also, Riot stated that this champion is a burst champion. Now what I'm thinking is that her gameplay pattern to me would feel a lot better as like something like my build on Syndra, which is like Cosmic Giant Blackfur Torture or Lianji or something like that. Like to me that seems to be a lot more, just would function a lot better for the champion. So I'm not sure exactly what Riot is thinking there.
Basic attack to fire 3 additional missiles after casting an ability.
Also, it's very important what her basic attack auto attack range is, because if it's very high, that's gonna make her passive a lot better, by the
She
way.
can cast up to 3 abilities in a row.
Because she kind of needs to auto attack as well, right? Like with passive, incentivized to auto
9
attack.
extra missiles on her next attack. Mel's Q is Radiant Volley. She unleashes a
Auto attack
lot
is 550. Not too bad, I guess, but not too good either.
explosions in a
550 is decent, I guess.
target area. Each one deals a small amount of damage and stacks her passive. Her E is Solar Snare. Mel sends out an orb of unstable energy that files wildly as it travels. Enemies hit by the energy take damage over time and are slowed.
Like, you guys don't even understand. The root is absolutely overpowered. Like, it has... I think this will get nerfed. Like, the root is so overpowered. Like, people won't be able to move against this champ, and then everything else will land on you. This is like Nico E on steroids.
For the duration. Those who touch the orb itself
Also, the Q range seems to be kind of high. Like, I'm seeing this clip right now. Q range shown on the ability.
each one deals a small amount of damage and stacks her energy that files. Those who
Like, you mean
touch the
here?
levels. Enemies hit by the energy take damage over time and are slowed for the duration.
This is E, and then this is
Those who
Q.
touch the orb itself
The Q range seems to be good. I mean, I thought the champion would have weaknesses in ranges, but it doesn't seem like it.
are rooted. Lastly, Mel's ult is Golden Eclipse. Passively, it increases her damage from Overwhelm stacks. On cast, she unleashes her power on every target marked with Overwhelm.
Wow, that does so much damage. I mean, okay, maybe the clip is like not showcasing the champ, but that does so much damage.
Dealing tons of damage based on how many stacks they have. Golden Eclipse does not consume these stacks, so targets are still vulnerable to her passive if she brings them low enough for an execute.
Feel my light.
While this
I don't get it. Like, is this just a fake clip? Why is she doing so much
she
damage?
brings them low enough for an execute.
What is this damage, bro?
While this ability can hit monsters, it's only castable if an enemy champion is affected by Overwhelm. So plan your Baron steals accordingly.
So this is gonna add some skill expression too, because maybe sometimes you want to use your R early, sometimes you want to hold it, right? There's gonna be some skill expression, but okay. So far, based on what I'm seeing, the champ is probably a bit highly skewed, but Q is an easy ability to use for the most part. E has some skill, W is pretty skill, R is like no skill.
Mel's damage potential makes her a serious threat in extended fights.
Having no mobility, yeah, this is for sure highly skewed champion. Like, she even has no mobility. Like, I already know that this champion, I think if mispositioned, she will die very fast. This is gonna be for, yeah, you need to play well.
But if an opponent can burst her quickly or disengage to wait out the stacks from Searing Brilliance, they'll
Her W gives her 30% decaying move speed for 1 second, which is not a lot. That's very low amount in my opinion. And okay, her E does, I think her E is kind of like the peel. I don't even think it's W that much. W is like whatever. Her E is gonna be used to peel herself off things, I think.
extinguish a lot of her power. And even though her passive is an execute, it respects magic resist. So bulk up if you don't want to get overwhelmed.
Her passive respects magic resist, yeah. Wait, what did he say again?
And even though her passive is an execute, it
Oh yeah,
respects
okay.
magic
It's, yeah, it's not true damage
resist.
execute.
So bulk up if you don't want to get overwhelmed. The reflect on her W is pretty powerful, but only if an ability is worth reflecting. For example, champions with sticky engage tools like Amumu and Nautilus won't mind Rebuttal one bit. As a backline mage, MEL mind Rebuttal one bit. Example, champions with sticky engage tools like Amumu and Nautilus won't mind Rebuttal one bit.
Oh, okay. So if Naut hooks you and you parry it, you're still going to him. Same goes for Amumu Q. Okay. And Blitzcrank, I guess, right?
As a backline mage, MEL will really shine for players who like to poke from safety. So give her a try if you play Xerath, Lux.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. I mean, I'm not sure if I would compare her to Xerath and Lux, but Hui did feel like it to me a bit.
Hui, or any other artillery champions.
I don't necessarily agree she's close to Xerath though,
Let's
or
skip the rest of
Lux.
the pleasantries,
Maybe
shall
Lux,
we?
but not
Get
Xerath.
ready to rise with MEL, the soul's reflection.
The arcane is at my fingertips.
Interesting, okay. And then we said what, Vandril as well we need to check?
MEL's abilities have
No, this is... We already checked this, no? This. Okay, wait, let me just see if there's
been
ranges.
posted. The primary role is mid lane. MEL's passive is called Searing Brilliance.
Let me just see, is there Q range? Oh, this is...
Is called Radiant Volley. It does up to a maximum of 9. MEL's Q
Why is the indicator like that? Like a weird circle. I'm not sure why it's like that. I don't get this part. Why is it not just like a circle with nothing inside? Yeah, I don't think this video is gonna showcase anything we haven't seen yet. Let's see this. Oh, but you can't detonate. Okay, but you can't detonate. Okay. Ivern. Caitlyn Q. Briar ult, and then you teleport if it hits. Okay. I mean, we're not gonna go over all the examples here. Is there any example that like is insane? I'm not gonna watch 20 minutes of every example here. I mean, yeah, it's like a very like people at the beginning when this champ gets released, it's gonna be so confusing. Blitzcrank. When is Blitzcrank? Could be somewhere here, no? We have Ashe, Azir. Oh, here. Let's see Blitzcrank. Oh! Oh! Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Anything else you wanna check, guys? Any other ability that seems cool? Briar we already seen. Urgot R? Where is Urgot? Ooh. Wait, am I stupid? There. Let me go forward. Oh, that's so powerful. Here it comes. What? It doesn't pull? I guess it doesn't pull. Oh, you can... Oh, that's kind of crazy. Cinematic light. It's bugged. Oh, this is bugged. Okay. Cartusar? Actually, I'm kind of curious about Cartusar. Where do I find Cartus? Oh, there's no Cartus in the video. Cartosaur is not a projectile. So it just blocks it, basically. Okay. That's kind of Mel. I think, yeah, closing thoughts is just that Champ looks good. I think High looks good. I think E is game-breaking ability. W is really insane too. Ult and Q are fine. She's gonna have wave clear. Just maybe a bit of lack of mobility, lack of sustain. Not sure about ranges, not sure about what her base move speed is, but... Oh, wait. Wait. Is her base move speed 340? No, because it like... Here it says 340 with like... It's not 340, right? It's like less, maybe? Because if she has 340 base move speed, that's way too much, I think. 330? 330 base move speed. On the low side, but not the lowest. Yeah. She's gonna have a bit of lack of mobility. That's the champ I'm gonna play. This seems like my type of champion. That's gonna be fun.
Sound crazy, okay? This might be a hot take and this might age really poorly. But
might age really
from
poorly.
the information I have so far, this champ looks dog shit. This champ sucks.
Why does she suck?
I think this champ just sucks. It's immobile, has barely any peel tools, has very low CC, and it relies on a stacking passive execute burst. It relies on a stacking passive CC and peel tools, has...
Let me hear this again.
It's immobile.
Immobile? Yes, for sure. Definitely. This is like a weakness, because it has to have a weakness.
Has barely any peel tools.
Barely any peel tools. Yeah, it's only E mostly and W, but mostly just E. But it's a very strong peel, but I get it. And it's like the ability has very low cooldown, so it's going to be spammable.
Has very low CC.
Very low CC. It's true that she only has one ability with CC, but a lot of other mages are like that, right? But the ability that is with CC is insane. It's absurd. It's like 2 seconds root. It's like Nico E on steroids. I don't think that's a weakness or what he's saying.
And it relies on a stacking passive execute burst.
Stacking passive execute burst. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I again, it's hard to judge how much damage passive is gonna do. That is true. That could be like an issue. If she can stack up the passive in fights or not.
In mid lane. Which she's probably out.
In mid lane. Well, the way I view Mel is I don't view her as a lane bully. I definitely don't think she's going to be really a lane bully. I think she's probably a champion that will mostly spike in mid game. I don't know if she will carry her strength to late game. I don't really see it. I think she's mostly going to be a mid game mage is what I see. And I think, yeah, this champ will not really lane bully people. I don't think so.
Ranged by all the mids as well. All I need to know is how long her passive lasts. And if it's not that long, then I think this champ...
Yeah, that's actually fair.
Doesn't look that strong.
You need to know how long passive stacks. Because if it stacks for a very short amount of time, people just walk out, it's problematic.
Unless her Q damage is super high. And it like, if her Q damage is like super low cooldown.
Anyway, shit take Caedrel. Yeah, you're fired. Don't give any more takes. You're delusional, you have no clue.